It's officially been one heck of a week, let me just tell you. What a way to cap it off, though, as you guys are tuned in once again to Inside the Huddle. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Thank you guys for joining in once again. If you like this, you want more, make sure that you like, you share, and subscribe wherever you are watching, whether it be YouTube, X, Instagram Live. Thank you all for joining in once again and joining us on this fantastic Saturday night. We got I'm Will already in the chat. Let's get it. I'm your biggest fan. Appreciate that, Will. Appreciate the love and support. Thanks to all of you for tuning in as usual. Always a great time to get together. So, everybody do us a favor. Like I said, make sure that you like this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you want to have a question answered. I'm going to go ahead and get the link set up in my X so that you guys can join into the show. Got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about Texas and USC nixing their spring game. What is the future of the spring game looking like for college football in the future? What is the future of Georgia? Are they in jeopardy? Paul Feinbaum had some comments to say about them. We'll discuss that. And then everybody knows about what happened with Steve Smith Sr. So we'll get to that fun topic. Who doesn't love a little drama in their lives? I mean, there's nothing better than that. So, guys, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on X, make sure that you hit that heart button as well as hit the repost button for more to come. And if you're watching us on Instagram, make sure you leave that comment in the comment section below. Make sure you like the Instagram as well. And give us a follow at Lucas_Hill_17. Let's get it started on this. We got a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. So, USC and Texas were the latest teams to nix their spring games, all according to our good friends over at Yahoo and the AP. USC joining Nebraska and Ohio State in calling off its annual spring game. So now we have more than just Big Ten teams nixing the spring game. And is this what is going to happen in the near future? So let's read. After years of showcasing its football team at the end of every spring, USC will not host the spring game in 2025. A person familiar with the decision was not authorized to speak publicly, told the Times. They've been held at USC since Pete Carroll was there. 10 counterparts, Nebraska and Ohio State, also moved recently to cancel their spring games, and it's likely that others will be close behind. The question is, who are the others that are going to be behind this? Coach Matt Rule cited widespread tampering in college football as one of the primary reasons for the decision to cancel the Huskers spring game, which last year drew more than 60,000 fans and was followed by top performers entering the transfer portal after Rule suggested they were wooed by other schools. Other coaches have mused about shifting the spring calendar to follow more of an NFL model. But here's the thing, though. At USC, it's more sparse with their spring games than it was at Nebraska and Ohio State. Practices this spring remain closed to the general public, just as they have been since Lincoln Riley has been there. So in lieu of a spring showcase, USC is planning to host 2 new events intended to give fans and former players a chance to engage with the program in the spring. USC will host an event for former players on campus, and this summer, plans are in the works for a fan appreciation event separate from Salute to Troy. Here's my suggestion, though. Do what Ole Miss did when Lane got there. Do basically a flag football thing. Have fun with it. Ole Miss, you think Ole Miss is being serious about their spring game? Oh my God, dude. You know how much fun that is? Bro, last year was insane. It was a lot of fun, dude. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed watching the spring game. You know, and it was just a lot of fun being able to get to witness all that. Hey, baby. Hey, I got 34 people up in here. They all want to hear about some spring Steve Swiss Jr., but I love you. But honestly, if the spring game gets nixed, here's my solution for a replacement. Do what Lane Kiffin did. Have an all-out day. Have the fans come out. Watch some good competition. Watch 7-on-7. Watch bigs on bigs. Watch skill on skill. Do something like that. Have practices closed to the general public and do something like what Lane Kiffin and company did last year. I think it would generate a lot of attention. I think it would really be a lot of fun for the players and for the fans alike. I think it would be a great addition, but that's my suggestion. Nixing spring games isn't really the most fun because it takes away that first glance that you get to see of the team. And it sucks that the fans don't get to interact with it. But why not just take a chance and just have a spring, well, I wouldn't say spring portal, but more or less have something like a competition type day other than a spring game. But that's my thoughts. This is what Steve Sarkisian had to say on the Up and Adams show. By the way, me and Kay Adams got into it on X on, I think, Wednesday. I wouldn't say really got into it, but I literally reposted one of her things and she it generated a response. So hey, kudos to what I did. Not trying to be braggadocious, but I'm now a Longhorn, I think. Also, Arch Manning's the starter officially. Honestly, I don't really like. I've never heard of her up until that day that I first watched that. And then I scrolled down. I was like, what is this chick even doing? What does she do? Nothing's that impressive. So I just said, never heard of this woman until today. Has not had good takes. Seems more of an Entertainment Tonight type of personality. This is what she says. She's just relax. Relax. Come on, girl. I thought you were better than that. That's my question. Why are you responding to somebody with less than 1,000 followers? That's my question. Anyways, this is how I responded, and I love it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was amazing of what I did. I thought personally, hey, I don't know, man. College football headlines just texted me. I need you to get a better camera. I can't stand watching you in 100 HP. Son, it's not the dang camera. It's my freaking internet. All right? I still live with my parents. Don't blame me for the internet. Don't blame me for my dang camera. I promise you, it's not my fault. I'm let me look at my footage right now, actually. Dude, we're literally not that bad. We're just fine. You over exaggerate BS. Come on, man. You got to be better than that. Anyway, let's get my girlfriend on here. There's nothing better than that, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
You're live on Inside the Huddle with about 40 people watching you.
We're supposed to talk about football.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. I love you. I love you more.
Whatever.
Forever.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, I love you. Bye-bye. Headlines. Look, anyways, I don't know what's to come for the next future of college football, but I do think that an NFL type of like OTAs is coming, which I think is stupid. I think that the tampering BS is so dumb because you cannot control whether a coach DMs a kid on Twitter or not. You just can't. And I'll be honest with you, it definitely wouldn't be out the ordinary if it does happen. Because you're getting closer and closer to what the NFL is becoming when you relate to what you have with college football to what you have with the NFL. If you switch to OTAs and you have that sort of, I'll say, events of what you have in store, if you go to OTAs and if you go to that transition, you're going to get that. You're going to have those you're going to have exactly what the NFL is. Because of NIL, because of the transfer portal, which is basically free agency all over again, that is what you're going to get. By the way, headlines, this is my freaking camera. All right, if you want me to switch my damn camera, it's that freaking bad. Hold on. We're gonna shut this camera down. Bear with me, folks. Let me see if this camera's better. Yeah, sure. Are you happy with this now? Are you happy with this? Because this is 1080p. Are you happy with what you have right now? Anyways, college football is getting insane because of so much BS that's happening with it being an NFL JV league and the potential by we get to the 2030s that the NCAA won't even be a thing. That's realistic. Let me just tell you, whether you like it or not, that is the truth that people are not going to say out loud because they don't want to admit that. So let me just tell you, by 2030, the NCAA will no longer exist. We'll have our Super League. We'll have all these different changes to the college football playoff. Eventually, the SEC and the Big Ten are not going to be satisfied with what they have. And eventually, we're going to get to a 32-team playoff at least. I don't know. Something like that. And we're going to only play 10 regular season games, maybe. We're going to go back to the days of old. But that's what the reality is of college football. And I happen to agree with that. All right. But that is the way that college football is right now. If you want, that's why you have expansion. I said, hey, shout out headlines, by the way. Made my year. Your content is stellar. Presenting it was negative good. But now you fixed that. Oh, my goodness. Hey, headlines. Get your butt on here. Okay. The link is in my bio, or not my bio, but on my page. Hop on in if you want to. I'll be nice to me. Anyways, Paul Feinbaum calling out Kirby Smart for being too loyal to Mike Bobo. By the way, Feinbaum's been on Georgia's case this offseason. throughout this offseason, there are many things that this Georgia teams need to address if they do not want to replicate to have a disappointing end to their season like this past season in the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame. This is what Paul Feinbaum has to say. I frankly believe Georgia's problem is at the OC position. I think Kirby Smart, for as great as I believe he is, and I know you guys agree, is being way too loyal to none other than Mike Bobo. And I would get rid of Bobo today. So in the 3 seasons prior to 24, the offense ranked inside the top 10 for scoring. This past season, however, they were 38th and only averaged 31.5 points a game. 99th in the country in first half scoring with a disappointing 11.1 in the first half. Evident in big games against Clemson, Bama, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, and Texas in the SEC title. The offense was the frustrating part of last season, and Georgia was good. They just weren't great. They still did okay, but okay isn't good enough at Georgia anymore. Completely agree with every single one of these. You have to play more complementary football. And it doesn't help that you have a young quarterback at the helm. My thought is this: if Georgia still wants to contend as a national championship contender in college football, you have to address what's going on in the portal, especially at quarterback, and especially at receiver, and especially at offensive line. Tight end wise, you're fine. At least in my opinion, you're fine. Oscar Delp, you bring back for another year, which is amazing, which I thought if he would have had a breakout year this year, he would probably be gone to the NFL draft. But I think with where Georgia is at the current moment, you have a lot to address. You have the spring portal, which you can go out and go get dudes. But apart from where they are right now, you have a lot of pieces to fix on the offensive side of the ball. Your offensive line was banged up a lot last year, and it didn't help with Carson Beck last year. With what Gunnar Stockton's game is, Mike Bobo is going to want to make him into a pocket passer. And I don't think that's Gunnar Stockton's game. I'll be honest with you. I watched him. In the 2 games that he filled in against Texas and against Notre Dame, he was a very mobile quarterback. And now that might be because of where the how the offensive line performed throughout those 2 games, because let's just be honest, this was not a good offensive line. This was not a typical Georgia offensive line that we're used to seeing. This was a rough offensive line that we saw this year. And it wasn't pretty to watch. They struggled in pass blocking. They just could not fire off the ball like you're used to seeing. They got owned on the line of scrimmage a lot. And that attributed to these first half slumps that they had. That attributed to a lot of the turnovers that they had in a horrible stretch where I think Carson Beck had 10 turnovers from, I think, Texas, or I think, yeah, from Texas to the Ole Miss game, which they did not perform well. And it was only a matter of time before the turnover bug caught them, and it did. Against Ole Miss, they should have happened against Florida if they hadn't lost DJ Lagway, which, by the way, cocktail party is going to get interesting. I think this is probably going to be the most anticipated cocktail party that we have seen in the Georgia-Florida rivalry in a while. I don't remember a cocktail party that was this hyped up. Probably since 19 was a pretty hyped up one. 2020 was kind of hyped up, but it kind of lost steam after the Dan Mullen era ended. But I think this year you've got to be considering what is at stake here. I think if Florida wins that game, they're back to being a bowl game team. I think Napier's job is secured for another year. But you also have to think about, at one point what point does Florida officially pull the trigger and say goodbye to Billy Napier? I don't know when that is. I think with DJ Lagway there and with the success they had this year in recruiting, I would definitely stay. That's a big reason why Napier stayed. But I think at the same time as well, once you're done with what you've had to accomplish, as soon as you go back to your losing ways, I would say Napier is gone by 2027. And look, Billy Napier proved a lot of people wrong, especially in the second half of last year. You got big wins. You got huge victories over the last, year? And there's still more to be expected. Guys, you have so much to be ready for in Florida this year. Florida is going to be one of those teams that's going to sneak up on you and pull off an upset win. And if it's because of that, I would definitely be buying Florida stock right now. Because 2025 is going to be a big year for them. It could change everything and what a lot of people thought about Florida. And I look at the schedule and I see, you could pull off an upset here. You could pull off an upset there. Oh my God, I could be looking at a Florida team that damn near could go have a season like they did last year. Maybe even better. I would definitely consider them a dark horse favorite to be a college football playoff contender. And I think in 2026, when Lagway returns for his junior year, they're a pretty solid favorite to be in that 14-16 team college football playoff. I would definitely consider that because I think of what Florida is bringing to the table and what they've done in the portal and through high school recruiting. That is what you have come to experience with a team like Florida. And it's going to be no different than with the regular SEC contenders. So I think it's time we start taking Florida for real. So let's look at their schedule real fast. Your first two games, you play LIU, I guess. I don't know what LIU is, but the Sharks, whatever. You win the first two games against LIU in Florida or South Florida. Then you go to Baton Rouge and play LSU. That to me is an interesting one simply because I think both of these teams, this is where the season will really be determined right here. It's another big game for Brian Kelly. It's a big game for Billy Napier. And if the last couple of meetings between the two have been up and down somewhat. 2022 for LSU. In big games at Tiger Stadium, you've had a lot of success. You really have. And you've only lost really 3 games in Tiger Stadium in Brian Kelly's tenure. One was to Alabama this past year. One was to Tennessee. And then one was to... Actually, I think you've only lost 2. Yep. You've only lost 2 home games, I think. Anyway. You've only lost 2 home games. If Florida comes into Tiger Stadium, and if it's a night game, I don't know if they win. But if they keep it competitive, even if they lose that game, you could get out of the month of September at 3-1. You go to Miami, you play the same Carson Beck that you played last year. If you dial up the game plan that Rob Sale put together, or that what Ron Roberts did last year, you're in a pretty good position to win this football game. But what are you going to accomplish on the defensive side of the ball? with a guy like Austin Armstrong. Now, it sucks that you lose him, who is now at Houston. But I like Ron Roberts as a DC. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if Florida should have elevated him. Just in my opinion, he has not had the same success as a defensive coordinator at the P4 level. And I think that you have to really address what is going to happen. Now, Vinny Sunseri comes in as your co-DC. I forgot about that. But how is he going to adjust? Look, Vinny Sunseri is an excellent coach. I mean, he was the safeties coach for a Washington secondary that was number 1 in college football in pass defense. He's going to bring a lot of experience there. I think you'll be just fine with that. Do I think he'll be the primary play caller? I don't know just yet. I think Ron Roberts will take over in that sense. Will it last long? I don't know. I don't know with Ron Roberts. But I'll tell you what. In a realistic scenario, I think they pull off the upset against Miami. I think they get to 3-1. I don't know if they'll beat Texas. I think they might be 3-2. You're beating A&M and Mississippi State. You're 5-2 there. The cocktail party is a toss-up. I'll probably take Georgia in that one at 5-3. At Kentucky, I give them a 6-3 in that one. At Ole Miss is a tough one. I think that one right there in Vaught Hemingway is going to be a make or break one for them if they're going to make the college football playoff. Because if that happens, hey, you have 3 quality losses against LSU at home, against Texas, who will probably be a top 5 team, maybe even the number 1 ranked team at the end of the year. You play Georgia, and then at Ole Miss, Tennessee at home, Florida State at home. I think you win those 2 games. Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida at Ben Hill since 2004, and I don't think they win this year. I just think Florida's too good. They should have won last year, and I think they come back with a vengeance this year. I'm just being straight up with you. I will say this. I think I know it's a tough one for me, just being for real with you. I personally believe that Florida is a hell of a lot better than what Ole Miss is. I think that just with what they bring back on offense says a lot about where their program is headed. DJ Lagway is a much more experienced quarterback than Austin Simmons. And look, Austin Simmons is going to have his moments, but it's not going to be in this game. I think Florida might pull off this upset. I legitimately think, realistically, you can call me crazy if you want. But guys, I'm going to be real with you. I legitimately think that this is a Florida team that I think could win 10 games. I'm being for real. At LSU is a toss-up. Miami's a toss-up. I don't think you're beating Texas. I think Georgia, this might be the most vulnerable they'll be at 2025. We'll see what happens when we get there. My God, guys, this is a 9-10 win team. If they do Billy Napier's coach of the year. Just being honest with you, Billy Napier will be coach of the year if that is the case. And if he is, then guess what? It would not surprise me one bit. And I think that there's so much that you have to look forward to in 2025 because they have a lot to look forward to. I think that Rob Sale's offense is going to be just fine for what DJ Lagway runs. I think they're going to let him roll. And I think because you got DJ Lagway, that's why you're not seeing Billy Napier scratching his unemployed behind. All right, let me take a quick break real fast. We'll be right back. If you are an aspiring musician, DJ, music producer, or even just an audio professional, then vocalbreaks.com is just the site for you. VocalBreaks.com is an AI-powered music editing system designed to separate tracks online. What makes Vocal Breaks different is that it uses the best AI model available on the market, delivering far superior results to any other system. Vocal Breaks offers a free option that allows users to process up to 5 minutes of audio. But if you want to learn more or try out a subscription for yourself, go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code HUDDLE10 for 10% off of all subscriptions. Again, that's vocalbreaks.com, vocalbreaks.com. All right. Let's get back on track. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. But shout out to our new sponsor, vocalbreaks.com. Really appreciate them for sponsoring Inside the Huddle. Thank you for all that they do and their great work, and really, really excited just to see what we have going on. All right. In the near future, let's talk a little bit about with what's going on of Georgia. Georgia is a team that I think this year could take a step back, depending on what they do. I don't know if you would be able to repeat of what you've done the last 4 years. I don't know if the future of Georgia is in jeopardy for sure, but with comments that Paul Feinbaum made recently, you've got to move on from a guy like Mike Bobo. I've never been a fan of the Mike Bobo offense. I think you benefited, especially last year, because you had the same slow starts last year during the first half of the season. And it wasn't until that Ole Miss game that you finally got things clicking together and you were able to put on a little run. But I think this past year was different. As good as Georgia was and what they had on the offensive side of the ball, there was still a lot of issues. There was not a lot of stability within Georgia. You had the off the field issues that you have to address this year. You cannot allow this. You cannot allow that BS to continue. Because there's no way that you can function a Division I program with many guys being in the news for arrest and for DUIs and for reckless driving. You got to be able to get this team to lock in, especially going into this year. You have to absolutely be much better than what you have shown so far. But there's so much that Georgia has to replace. The defensive side of the ball, yes, you have a lot of guys that you've gotten from the portal. There is a lot of guys that you've been able to get from the recruiting side of things. I just am unsure of what your offense is going to be able to do. I have a lot of trust in Glenn Schumann because he's back and his ability to develop guys. But I just have a bad feeling about what you have on offense. There's just too much that is needing to be questioned in order to be successful on the defensive side of the ball or on the offensive side of the ball. I think that a change needs to be made. I don't know if Mike Bobo needs to go. I don't know if quarterback coaches or running backs coaches or receivers coaches need to go. We'll have to find out this year. Yes, you got Zachariah Branch, or you got both Branch brothers, actually. There is still a lot of question marks that this team still has. And it does concern me a bit that Georgia's going to go into 2025 with Gunnar Stockton as your quarterback. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Jared Curtis, That's the biggest thing that you would have to really imagine would be the perfect fit for him. Look, Gunnar Stockton is going to be the favorite to be the next quarterback. He probably will. Now, you also bring in Ryan Puglisi, who I don't think will start. He'll probably get some playing time, but I don't think it'll be a lot. You also bring in Bryant Montgomery. But Jerry Curtis for next year might be your answer. And I love Gunnar Stockton. I think Gunnar Stockton is a hell of a quarterback. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's ready for the spotlight just yet. And I don't know if he is ready to be an NFL quarterback. You want a guy that can produce at the next level. And unfortunately, I don't think Gunnar Stockton is that. And look, I have no disrespect towards Gunnar Stockton. But the reality of it is that you're getting a quarterback that just is going to be in a bad system. He's going to be in a system that does not fit him with what he does best. And that, to me, straight up with you, is running the football and being able to throw on the run. I don't know if he is a pocket passer from what I saw in the 2 games that he played. And I understand we're just talking about 2 games. But if I'm being honest, I have to look at what he is with a healthy offensive line for me to truly make my evaluation of him and see if he is the answer at quarterback for Georgia. We'll see what he does during spring practice, which will start in, I think, about 2 months or a month and a half from spring. But again, man, there's just so much that you have to get explained out of Gunnar Stockton to see if he truly is the guy or not. If that's the case, great. But guess what? If it isn't, then I was right. Because look, you're going to have weapons to throw to. You got the Branch brothers. You've got Oscar Delp coming back. Your offensive line is going to take a hit, though. My question is, can you run a Mike Bobo offense? I don't know if you can. But again, we'll get a better evaluation of him when this spring. But as for now, is there dynasty / legacy whatever in Jeopardy? I don't know. I think that the national championship, though, becomes much more wide open with what NIL has brought to the table, with what the portal's brought to the table, and just with what overall college football expansion is bringing to the table. All right, that's going to be it for tonight. Y'all have a great rest of the night. Y'all have a great start to the week tomorrow.